Good day, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you back to my YouTube channel. Look at this beautiful dress on the screen. That is what we will be analyzing today. We'll be doing the illustration of this beautiful dress, and you can make one for yourself. Just follow along as we'll be doing justice to it. But before we proceed, remember to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to give this video a thumb up so that you'll be getting notification whenever a new video is uploaded. So thank you so much for doing that. Now let's follow along as we'll be doing justice to this dress. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we need to determine our half length measurement. Yes, half length measurement. But before we do that, we're going to leave 3/4 inch above the shoulder line. 3/4 inch above the shoulder line. So mark that 3/4 inch, but you can leave 1 inch, but it should be minimum of 3/4 and the maximum of 1 inch. It is okay. So leave it, and you should extend it, yes, above the armhole line. Just as you can see, we will still extend that line, but let's stop here first. So next thing we're going to do is that we want to determine our half length measurement, that is shoulder to waist. So whatever you have there, you put it there. I'm not adding any joining allowance. You add that when you are using the pattern to cut your fabric. So I have 16 there. So it is on that line that I've marked, that is our waistline. So I'm labeling it, writing it out so that you see it clearly. So that is our waistline, and that is where we're going to input our waist measurement. So, but before we input our waist measurement, I want to put that. Yes, I'm going to use my nipple to nipple measurements to get my that. So from the waist, I go up by 5 inches to the bust area, towards the bust area. So I rolled it down to the waist, so 4 inches. Then another next thing is that I want to create my dart leg, which is half inch at the left and the right side, half inch for each dart leg. So we've input our dart. Next thing we are going to do is that we want to put our waist measurement. Whatever it is that you have as a waist circumference, divided by 4. My own is 32 divided by 4. That is 8 inches. I marked. Then we're going to add our dart allowance, which is 1 inch. You remember we use half inch for each dart allowance, so you add it to it. So then the next thing is that add your side seam allowance. I'm going to use 1 inch for my side seam allowance. So at the waist area, I'll be adding 2 inches to my original measurement. 1 inch for the dart intake and 1 inch for the side seam allowance. So next thing is that we want to create our armhole, although it is there already, but I want to explain how it is done. My armhole measurement is 8 inches. I'm using 8 inches. So then I'm going to square it out, because that is where I'm going to input my bust measurement. But before that, let's go to the shoulder area. Let's leave that, we'll still come back to it. At the shoulder area, whatever it is that you have as your shoulder measurement, you measure it out. For my shoulder measurement, it is 17. I will mark it, although just as I've said, the armhole line has already been created, but just mark it. So when you mark it, the remaining one from there, we may input our sleeve measurements. Wherever you want your sleeve to reach, your desired length for the sleeve, you input it. For my own, it's going to be 11 inches, and I'm going to mark it out like that for the sleeve, because if you look at that sleeve, I don't think it is more than 11, but if you want your own to be more than that, all well and good. So I'm using 11 inches for my own measurement. So now look at the armhole line. I have 8 inches there, so I want to create a straight rectangular line. So I'm going to mark 8 inches at the sleeve mouth and at the middle of the sleeve. Then I will connect it together. So I've gotten a rectangular shape, and that is my sleeve area. So the next thing is that I want to add my hemline allowance. So I want to create an hemline. I want to use 1/2 inch for my hemming. So I'm going to create that hemline. Yeah, that's my hemline. I use 1/2 inch for it. So let me label it so that you will see it clearly. Hemline allowance. You are free to use whatever it is that you want. You can use 1/2 inch, you can use 3/4, whatever it is that you want. So, and that is my sleeve. I want to label everything out so that you see my hemline allowance and my sleeve. So now, next thing is that I want to input my bust measurement. So whatever it is that you have for your bust measurement, bust circumference, divide it by 4. My own is 40. Divided by 4, it gives me 10. Then I'm going to add same seam allowance to it. Remember, I use 1 inch for the same seam allowance. But at the waist area, I use 2 inches. So at the bust, because we are not taking any dots at the bust area, so I use 1 inch. Now we have created an angle. We've connected the bodies together with the sleeve. So now let me label the bodies. That is the bodies. Beautiful. We have our bodies, our sleeve. Yes. So now at that angle, the angle that connected the sleeve to the body, so we're not going to leave it like that. We're going to come out by 1 inch. And that is what I have done. I've marked out that 1 inch. So we want to create a curved line at that area. So to connect the sleeve with the bodies. So we've connected the bodies to the sleeve now. Yes. So we're good to go. But at the shoulder area, and where I mark X, we're going to cut out that area. But you can see where I did not mark S, that is our sleeve that we are going to use to fold, to insert our rope. The rope that we are going to use to gather that sleeve area. So we are going to fold it and insert our rope there. So that is the work of that 3/4 inch that we left, and I told you that we can leave 1 inch. So far so good. Next thing that we're going to do is that we have a gathering effect. There is a gather at the sleeve. So to create that, we want to use slash and spread method. So I use 1 inch gap to slash and spread my sleeve. 1.5 inch, sorry, 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch. I marked 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch. So here we go. So we're going to slash it and spread it. But let me extend that line up. That line at the sleeve. Let me extend it up, because we are going to start from where we left our 3/4 inch allowance. So I've done that. Up to the hemline allowance area, we're going to extend the line outside. So now at the waist area, we know that that dress is a dartless dress, so we want to eliminate our dart. So I'm going to seal that dart up. See the way I'm folding it. So I've closed my dart at the waist area. So I'm going to use sellotape to seal it up. Yes, I've closed my dart. So with that, we'll be able to cut our dress without inputting that, without sewing that. Although we put that, but we've eliminated it. So with that, we'll be able to cut our dress without sewing that on the dress. Beautiful. So now, next thing is that we want to cut out our pattern. So now let's cut it out. We've cut it out now. So let me quickly run through what we have done so far. Let me start from the shoulder area. That area, we are going to cut it out. Just as I've said, that 8.5 inches will be cut out, because that cloth, if you look at it, you can see that it started from the shoulder tip. The sleeve started from the shoulder tip. So you can see that the hex, I marked it up to that shoulder tip, and we measured the bust. We added our seam allowance. Then at the waist area, remember we have that there before. So we close up the dart because the dress is a dartless dress. We eliminated the dart. So, and at the side, remember to put your dart allowance and your side seam allowance. So we'll be having 2 inches at the waist area, so that when we close up our dart, our measurements will not reduce. But at the bust area, we use just 1 inch for it. So we are closing our dart back. Beautiful. Yes. So the next thing that we're going to do is that we want to slash and spread our sleeve line. Remember, we said we want to have a gather effect, so I'm going to cut it one by one. So we are going to start. Look at it. You can see that I left 2 lines behind. We are not going to cut up to that armhole line. Yes. So, but see where we are starting. And when you are cutting it, ensure that you cut it very close to the base of the sleeve, leaving like 1/4. Because if you fail to do that, your pattern will not spread properly. We want it to spread properly so that we have enough together. So we have cut everything out now. So we want to spread it. So you can see what I'm saying, because I did not cut it up to that 1/4 or 1/8 inches. It doesn't spread properly. So ensure that you cut it like that, but make sure that you did not cut it out, because if you cut it out, that is another problem. So let it be together. So the next thing that we are going to do now is that we are going to look for another pattern paper, which we are going to put underneath where we have cut and spread. Yes, I'm getting another pattern paper now. We're going to put it beneath where we have cut and spread, so that we'll be able to create another pattern. We'll be able to trace out another pattern that we are going to use to cut our fabric. So you can see I've put it beneath the pattern that I've slashed and spread. So the next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to use sellotape to hold it down properly. Yes, get your sellotape so that you hold it properly, and then ensure that you have equal space in between each pattern that you slash and spread. So now you can see now I'm using sellotape to tape it down. After I've done everything, the next thing is that I'm going to trace out that pattern. But to do that, I need to tape down everything that I've cut and spread. I've taped everything down now. So the next thing is that I want to trace out everything. I'm going to trace it out with my marker. So after I have traced it out, I will now cut it out. So you also trace it out up to that armhole area. So we are going to cut all the excess away. So we've gotten our new pattern now. So you can see I'm cutting out all the excess. We don't need them again. So you can see we've cut out all the excess, unwanted pattern. We've cut it out. So this is what we have now. So you can see it now, beautifully done. So now where we have left 3/4 inches, that line, we are going to fold it. After we have joined the front bodice to the back, you first join. So after you have joined, you now fold it back like this. So that is where we are going to insert our rope. That is where we are going to insert our rope, the rope that we are going to use to draw our sleeve, so that we have that gather effect at that sleeve area. So then next thing is that at the back, we are going to use the front bodice pattern to cut the back. Just ensure that you put zipper allowance at the back. And for the depth of our neckline, if you look at that dress very well, you can see that it started at the shoulder tip. It extended to the shoulder tip. So we are going to cut where we have marked that SSS. We are going to cut it out up to that shoulder tip. So that is our neck width. That is the wideness of our neck. And for the depth, you are free to use whatever it is that you want. But for the wideness, it's going to stop. It's going to start from the center front to the shoulder tip. So I'm going to cut out that area we have marked as, that is our shoulder width, that is our wideness. I will stop at the armhole line, as you can see. So we now fold the remaining back. Yes, that is where we are going to insert our rope, which we are going to draw. So the remaining one is for our neckline. So I have told you that for the depth, you are free to use anything. For the back, remember to put your zipper allowance at the back for comfortability and easiness when wearing it. So you can see we have done everything for our pattern. So now you are good to go. You can make that beautiful dress. You can see that it's very, very simple and easy to do. So if you enjoyed today's tutorial, kindly like and subscribe. So see you next time, next video. Bye.